Hey, fourth grade, how are you guys? My name is Mrs. Sang and I am your reading coach at Schmidt. And last year, those of you that were with us in third grade, we did a lot of writing together. And so we're picking up back this year, and I'm gonna start working with you right away on writing. So this week, we're gonna start doing some written responses. And when we left off last year, we were using the race strategy. And so I'm going to stop sharing and show you the strategy that we were using. And so a written response is simply a response to text, a response to reading. And so we are going to continue to use the strategy we used last year, which was to restate, answer, cite, and then elaborate. And this year we've added the S for spelling and conventions. So that is how you are going to be graded now on your reading written responses. And so I'm going to model one for you using the text that you used in shared reading if you are brick and mortar, or on Zoom with your teacher in shared reading this morning. And so you read the text when Pecos Bill was young. And so I'm going to model a question, and then you are going to have the opportunity to try your own question using this strategy. So my question is, how does Pecos Bill's family feel about his future? So the first thing we do is we would read the text. And I know you've already done that. The second thing we would do is we would then text code. And I know you do not have a copy of this text in print, but this will be the last week where you don't. So I wanted to make sure that I was modeling it for you the right way. So we read the text, and then we text code to help us answer the question. And so that's what I've done. The third thing we need to do is start our race strategy. So the third thing we need to do is we need to restate or reword the prompt or the question. So let's go ahead and look at our prompt or question. How does Pecos Bill's family feel about his future? Now, sometimes when you're rewording or restating, all you have to do is cross off the question word. And the question word here is how. So let me look at it. Does Pecos Bill's family feel about his future? That's not a good rewording, so then I need to think about it for a second. And this might be a case, and it won't always happen, but this might be a case where I can actually answer the question in the midst of restating. And when I read the text, and you read it too, we learned that Pecos Bill's family is pretty optimistic about his future. They tell us that he's not like other kids, even though he had 18 older brothers and sisters. When he was just a baby, he was smart and he was able to jump on a horse. He rode alongside his family's covered wagon when they traveled. As a baby, he wrestled bears. So they're feeling pretty optimistic about Pecos Bill's future. And so I'm gonna go ahead and write that. So Pecos Bill's family, and remember, I need to indent, and then I need to make sure that I'm capitalizing the first letter of my sentences. I need to make sure that I'm using the correct spelling, particularly when it is in my question or easily accessible in my text. So Pecos Bill's, oh, there's an apostrophe, so I'm going to make sure I add that. Pecos Bill's family feels, I'm going to say optimistic, feels optimistic. That means that they're feeling good about his future. It means that they're feeling encouraged that he's going to have a good future. So Pecos Bill's family feels optimistic about his future. And I'm going to end my sentence with a period. So again, I'm not always going to be able to combine restate and answer, but this time I was. So the next thing what I need to do is I need to cite my evidence. And so I'm going to use the same chart that I used before. Let's see. Let me see if I can stop sharing my screen. And if you were with us last year, you're very familiar with this. So I'm going to use the same chart, and all this does is it gives me sentence stems. So when I'm citing, I need to make sure that I'm introducing the reader to the fact that I'm going to be citing some evidence. And I can use according to the text. I can use on this page, an example of. This is a pretty simple, right there, written response. And so I'm just going to simply say the text says. So I need to add my sentence stem. So I'm going to say the text says. And after I put the text says, I need to put a comma and then quotation marks. And in those quotation marks, I need to pick a direct quote. So I'm going to directly quote the author's words. And so right here is the sentence that I chose to support how Pecos Bill's family feels about his future. And it says, Bill's family was sure he would lead an amazing life. So I'm going to copy it word from word for word. Bill's, and they had an apostrophe S, family was sure he would lead an amazing, and it's okay if I have to put the dash and go on to the next line, amazing life. And I'm going to put my period, my quotation marks, and then I need to put where I got it. And I got that quote from paragraph 1. And there's different ways that you can do this, guys. You just need to make sure it's in there somewhere, because those are not my words. I got those words from paragraph 1 in the text. So let's go through our race strategy again. I restated, I answered, and then I cited my evidence from the text that proves that my answer is correct. The next thing I need to do is explain or elaborate. And you are going to hear over and over again, we are going to explain and elaborate, are going to interchange. And what that means is I now need to expound or explain how this quote supports my answer. And I'm going to go back into showing you my anchor chart. And this should look familiar to you if you were with us last year. So we've got some elaboration stems. So essentially, you're paraphrasing, you're expanding upon your evidence. So I could use this means, this is important because, this is interesting because. In this case, this made me think of. In this case, what I think I'm going to do is there was some pretty good evidence up here about why he was going to have such a great life, because he was able to do so much more than other kids could do. Then he was able to do so much more than his 18 brothers and sisters could do. When he was a baby, he jumped on a horse. He was able to wrestle a bear. And so I'm going to do some elaboration. So I'm going to put, let's see. This is important. This is important because they knew how smart and talented Pecos Bill was, and as a result, knew, oops, you can't see me, sorry guys. And as a result, knew that he would have a great life. And I think I'm gonna put an exclamation point there. Okay, so let's go back to my race. I restated, I answered, I cited, I explained and elaborated, and now I need to go back and look for my spelling and my conventions. And like I said, by now in 4th grade, we need to make sure that all of our sentences are capitalized, that all of our sentences have punctuation, that we have correctly spelled all of the words that we have access to, either in the questions or in the text, and that we have done the best we can to make sure that this is a solid paragraph. So let's read it one more time. Pecos Bill's family feels optimistic about his future. The text says, Bill's family was sure he would lead an amazing life. This is important because they knew how smart and talented Pecos Bill was, and as a result, knew that he would have a great life. So this is a complete response. And so you are now going to try using the race strategy to answer your own response. And I will look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.